Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. All right. I've been lazy today, but I'm ready to learn. Hey guys, preemptive like, I think. Yes. SideQuest, animated history. The original link to the video, top of the description. If you haven't seen it yet or just want to watch it on your own, go ahead. My name's Connor if you're new. I forget what I've said already. The original link, did I say that? Top of the description. Let's learn. When did England and France stop being enemies? Waterloo. Yeah. Crimean War. What are the major stuff? Crimean War. Same side. Franco-Prussian War. I don't think France really... I don't think the UK really was backing either side. World War One. World War Two. Unless there were some minor conflicts in between those, I would say the Battle of Waterloo was probably the last time France and England have directly fought each other. But let's find out.
Ah, England and France, history's greatest frenemies, as it were. Few countries on earth can contend to have a relationship as intense as that between our dear England and France. Indeed,
France
before
and
we
Germany,
English
maybe?
decided to make peace with the frog lovers and became the staunchest of allies, we spent the better part of the past millennium at each other's throats. Going all the way back to Roman times, the Celtic inhabitants of what would eventually become...
What does the garlic around the neck come from? Is it just food?
Going all the way back to
The
Roman
stereotype?
times, the Celtic inhabitants of what would eventually become England and France did not shy away from raiding and pillaging each other, even as renowned SideQuest enjoyer Julius Caesar was on their doorstep. Now, in the aftermath of Caesar's conquests, the lands of future England and France became parts of the Roman Empire, until our Chad Germanic ancestors, the Angles and Franks, decided to move in permanently. But they and their coalescing medieval kingdoms would have little chance to fight against each other, for they'd soon have to defend themselves against the even greater Germanic Chads, the Vikings. Their
Chad.
raids kept early England and France busy up until the 11th century. Yet when the Vikings were finally vanquished, their legacy stirred the first conflict between England and France. The Dukes of Normandy, who were descendants
William.
of Vikings that had sworn fealty to the kings of France, had also intermarried with the kings of England, and thus had a claim to the English throne. When the childless Edward the Confessor died, Duke William of Normandy seized the opportunity to invade England and claim it for his own. Spoiler alert, he won, and became known as William the Conqueror. But as both King of England and Duke of Normandy, he was in direct conflict with his supposed liege, the King of France. The Norman kings of England and their inheritors, the Plantagenets, would fight the kings of France over their crown for nearly 4 centuries, culminating in the infamous...
So should they have just called it like the 350 years war or something? What was the biggest like pause to 1113 and then 1116? Then 4 more years. Oh, there's like 23 years. That's pretty long, I guess. 4 years. 3 years. Wait a second. Why isn't this all just called one war? Po 2 war? 24 to 4. Oh, there's 18 years, right? Oh, there's a big one. 51 years. That's a big... My God, you guys have been fighting constantly. Wow.
100 Years' War. Alas, France ultimately pushed England out of mainland
Wait, I'm sorry. What? Okay.
war. Alas, France ultimately pushed England out of mainland Europe. Honourable mentions at this point to Calais. But even after the English kings gave up their
Okay, sorry. I always get
continental
Aquitaine and like Plantagenet. So Plantagenet was the dynasty and Aquitaine was an area in France?
Point to Calais. But even after the English kings gave
Anjou?
up their continental ambitions, we continued to try to keep a lid on the French. We took the opposite sides in all of the Italian wars during the 16th century, in the Theological War of the Reformation, and whenever a nearby country had troubles with its succession.
Hold on, just go forward. Yeah, I've been watching history videos about England for like 3 years at this point. You'd think I'd know more. I don't, okay? I'm trying to learn. It's a journey, but some terms really confuse me still. I just need to write these down and then just sit down and study them so I don't ask them again. I'll do that after.
Calais. But even after the English kings gave up their continental ambitions, we continued to try to keep a lid on the French. We took the opposite sides in all of the Italian wars during the 16th century, in the Theological War of the Reformation, and whenever a nearby country had troubles with its succession. The French did pay us back in kind by helping those Americans in their rebellion, but it was ultimately
Thanks,
us,
France.
now united as a single kingdom, that had the last laugh by defeating the final boss of France. Oh, pan
Napoleon.
down a little bit. There he is.
He's average
Napoleon
size,
Bonaparte.
damn it.
But then, as with all great love stories, something miraculous happened. Since 1815, Britain and France never went to war again. That's unbelievable. Sacre bleu. It cannot be. That's what I said. In fact, in the aftermath of Napoleon's defeat, the victorious Duke of Wellington, who would later become Prime Minister,
Wellesley?
made sure to prevent the other European powers from dismantling France in the ensuing peace deal.
Wasn't that mostly Metternich? Or is too much credit being given to Wellington there? Because wait, didn't a different guy go to the Council of Vienna? Okay, I have to look this up. Council of Vienna, British guy. Castlereagh. I understand the story's not about Austria, it's about France and England, but wasn't that what Metternichian foreign policy is kind of all about, is ensuring... So the Prussians and the... is like making sure France isn't too weak so that the Prussians and Russians wouldn't take advantage of a weakened France and then become the new problem, you know? Like the U.S. with Japan and South Korea. South Korea wasn't an enemy. I guess it was under the Japanese when we conquered the Japanese. But how, like, we wanted to build up Western Germany and France and build up Japan to then be an ally or, you know, a useful asset to fight the next. It's like fighting... Okay. Like, the Germans were the problem, and then when they're defeated, it's like, oh, crap, now you got someone else to deal with. You have the Russians or the Soviets, and from the Soviets' perspective, okay, now you have the West to deal with.
Wellington into the heart of Mount Doom, where France was made.
I'm in the middle of watching these movies right now, again.
Cast it into the fire!
Extended editions.
Destroy it! No. Wellington! It should have ended that day, but France was allowed to endure. But really, why did Britain abandon centuries of tried and true French animosity right when we had them on the ropes?
You have other people to
the
deal
truth
with.
that Wellington so presciently realized is that there were other powers in the world beyond France that Britain had to contend with. Britain's former Napoleonic allies, Russia and Prussia, both gained vast territories from the war. If Prussia unified all of Germany, it could potentially overpower the rest of
They
Europe
won't do that,
combined. A theory that would be put to the test repeatedly over the 20th century. And with regards to the Russians, their empire was already so vast that it stretched across Eurasia, and crucially, was way too close to precious India for
They have
comfort.
Alaska at this time, too?
Russia did indeed continue trying to expand in the coming decades, so much so that
Broski.
Britain had to side with France to stop the Russians from swallowing up the Ottoman Empire. So Wellington's instinct...
I love how the British... This is kind of why British history is so fascinating, is that you're not on mainland Europe. It's very difficult to conquer you. In order to conquer you, you first have to get by the insanely powerful, overpowered British Navy to even get there. And so you're so much more like in a back seat, kind of how America is today, honestly, in that you don't have any immediate dangers. And so you can spend so much of your military money and just your money in general going around the world and influencing things and like it's like a constant like meter watching game in the world to ensure that your power stays powerful, stays high, and you can just, so you're involved in so many things around the world, but not directly, like with troops usually. Obviously, you have Vietnam, Korean. What was my point? Oh, yeah. So Britain can just like, all right, don't be hasty now. We defeated them, but I don't want you to get too out of control and question me. And it's just this constant, just like pushing levers around the world to just get your influence. Words are hard right now. I think I got my point across.
That's correct. I mean, Wellington in general was a pretty smart chap. And I'm
thought it
sure
was
if he
more
had the
Metternich,
opportunity,
but-
he would have definitely utilized the wonderful privacy services of today's sponsor, Aura.
If this interests you guys, we're going to play through it. Make sure to use the links and promo codes from SideQuest, the original link, top of the description. It's only fair. This is his content. If you're
today's
interested,
internet age,
make sure to
when
use
data
that
brokers
stuff.
unscrupulously sell your information to hackers, spammers, and scammers, maintaining your privacy is harder than ever. In fact, I'm sure that if you search your name or email address online right now, you'll be surprised at the sheer quantity of places it shows up. This is where Aura comes in, submitting legal opt-out requests on your behalf that force data brokers to remove your personal information. With Aura, you can rest easy knowing that your privacy is always protected, and you'll finally have the upper hand on all those spammers clogging up your inbox. Aura also helps protect you against data breaches. Just recently, AT&T revealed that over 72 million customer records, both existing and former customers, were released on the dark web. They recommend that those affected use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. And luckily, Aura does all this for you in one app. Aura is always on,
Creating
doing the
a
hard
legal
work of
business to
keeping you
protect
safe
people
so that you
from
can focus on other tasks
illegal.
with peace of
Illegal.
mind. And as a special courtesy to SideQuest viewers, you can get a 2-week free trial of Aura if you click on the link in the description. Visit aura.com/SideQuest and take the first step in securing your online privacy. But anyway, back to England. Ah, beautiful England. Now, while we did keep the Russians in check, I'll admit we dropped the ball on Prussia. When a resurgently imperialistic France, led by Napoleon's nephew, no less, attacked Prussia to prevent its unification, no one dared to intervene, out of what I like to call Napoleonic PTSD. And in a short few months, after a swift Prussian victory over the French army, Wilhelm I was crowned German emperor in occupied Versailles, and a new great power had emerged in the heart of Europe. Initially,
Has there ever been a case other than World War I and World War II where two enormous conflicts were like almost back to back? Because like you just said, Napoleonic PTSD. Well, actually, I don't know which was more destructive, Napoleonic Wars or World War I. Like comparatively, for the time period.
Old Willie, as I like to call him, tried to play nice with Britain and France to prevent a rapprochement, and that strategy did work. Napoleonic PTSD and mutual paranoia kept relations cold into the early 20th century.
Wilhelm II.
But his grandson and inheritor, Willie II, aka the bootleg Wilhelm, decided to aggravate Britain and France by threatening their colonies and building up a massive navy. And so, thanks to his ineptitude, on the 8th of April 1904, Britain and France unofficially became allies, sticking through thick and thin ever since. And the rest, as they say, is history, which we will, of course, cover here sometime in the indeterminate future. In the meantime, my dear friends, please leave a comment down below on which historical topics you'd like to see next. And as always, huge thanks to our gracious patrons for their selfless support, and make sure to stay tuned for the next enthusiastically rivalrous episode of SideQuest.
Really interesting video. When it comes to Germany and World War I, by the way, I understand the motivation. I mean, you want to get on the same level as France and, you know, the United Kingdom in terms of your global reach. And, you know, you want a piece of that pie, and in order to get that, you have to go to war with them. Just like with today, like, I don't want China to become too powerful because that'll threaten American power, but I don't think the Chinese want to become more powerful is any less justified than the American wanting to stay powerful, just like with Germany and World War I, say. You know, we always, you know, paint the other side as the bad guy, but at the end of the day, we all want similar things, and I guess no other person has any less right to... it's a discussion for a different time. I'm trying to say, like, there's no... I don't know. Different time. Love y'all. Hope you guys are all doing well. Would appreciate any comments down below. Any answers to any questions I might have had. I feel like I was pretty good, though. And hopefully I'll see you guys next video. Bye, guys.